faithful legend, unpacking great books from around the globe.
Hi there, this is Sally talking books.
Today, we're diving into the book called The Uninvited Guests, subtitled A Natural History Hidden at Home. For most folks, home is our private sanctuary, a no-entry zone without permission. But some uninvited guests always barge into our homes uninvited. Stats show there are between 1,500 to 3,000 species of these intruders, ranging from the ones we hate, like flies, mosquitoes, cockroaches, and mice, to less familiar critters like various beetles and moths. This book we're covering today will walk you through those animals that crash our homes, why they come, and how they sneak in. So, should we wipe them all out or let them go free?
Stick around for today's chat and you'll find out.
The author, Richard Jones, is a researcher at the Royal Entomological Society, former president of the British Entomological Society, an expert on BBC wildlife, and he's written for The Guardian and others on insects, nature, and the environment, plus published several books. This Uninvited Guests book is split into 9 chapters, exploring from a natural history angle how different animals get tied to our homes, and it includes a catalog and details on these guests in the back. Next up, I'll break down the book's main ideas into 3 key questions for you. Now, first, what exactly are they? Uninvited guests have invaded our homes. Second, how did these uninvited guests end up linked to our homes? Third, how should we handle these uninvited guests? First off, let's tackle the book's opening question. What uninvited guests are lurking in our homes? These intruders are crazy diverse in species, but since our houses are usually pretty well sealed, most of them that get in are tiny things. Over 95% of them belong to the Inca class. The insecta class is what we call insects. They've all got 6 legs, so they're also known as hexapods. Worldwide, there are over 1 million insect species, making them the most diverse animal group, and that's the book's main focus. The most common home-invading insects fall into 5 orders: Diptera, Hymenoptera, Neuroptera, Coleoptera, Lepidoptera. No sweat if those order names don't stick. The insects they cover are ones you definitely know well. Now, let's introduce them one by one. First up, let's cover Diptera. As the name suggests, insects in this order have 1 pair of wings. Mosquitoes and flies are the most common. Female mosquitoes need blood to get protein for their ovary development, so they bite humans. Mosquitoes have a sharp sense of smell and can detect changes in carbon dioxide levels when people breathe. So even in the dark, they can slip through door cracks or screen holes to find you asleep. Mosquitoes also prefer biting sweaty folks with body odor because sweat has skin bacteria. The chemicals they secrete are super attractive to mosquitoes, which is why they bite. It's common knowledge, but did you know? Some flies also bite humans, like the human botfly. This fly is native to Africa. They lay eggs on clothes, and larvae burrow under skin, feeding on blood and forming boil-like abscesses, hence the name. Luckily, human botflies aren't common in our homes. The most common flies in daily life are houseflies, plus a smaller type called little houseflies. Though these flies don't suck blood, their eating habits are nasty.
They love landing on food, vomiting, eating, and pooping all at once.
That's because flies do external digestion. They vomit digestive juices to liquefy food before eating, so they gotta vomit first, then eat.
Studies also show flies poop an average of 5 to 6 times per minute while eating.
But hey, not all flies are pests. Hoverflies are actually beneficial insects. These flies eat aphids and look like bees, so they're called bee flies. They can pollinate plants like bees but lack a stinger, so they don't sting. And then there's the cheese fly. They love high-fat, high-protein foods, with cheese being their favorite. They not only eat rotten cheese, but also lay eggs in it, causing maggot infestations.
Yet some folks consider this cheese a delicacy.
In Sardinia, Italy, some people adore a food called casu marzu, believing it has a unique aroma that wraps up Diptera insects. Second, let's cover Hymenoptera insects. Membrane as in thin film, with bees, wasps, and ants as key examples. Biologically, their biggest difference from mosquitoes and flies is having two pairs of wings. One, if you have fresh flowers or exposed sweets like sugar pastries in your room, they might just attract bees. Plus, some wild bees build nests under eaves, and their relatives, wasps, also love visiting human homes. The scientific name for wasps is Vespidae, also known as yellowjackets. They can build nests in some unbelievable spots, like window frames, door frames, and corners. Though they usually gather nectar like bees, making them beneficial, they're easily disturbed and will attack people and animals. New Zealand has a social wasp species that builds nests several meters wide, housing hundreds of thousands, extremely dangerous to humans.
If stung by wasps, especially in a swarm attack, get medical help immediately.
Wasp venom can cause organ failure in humans, like in the liver and kidneys.
A sting to blood vessels can be life-threatening, especially for allergy sufferers.
Besides bees and wasps, ants love invading homes. Most target pantries, but electric ants prefer electrical devices. Drawn to electromagnetic fields, they chew computer and monitor wires, causing shorts and malfunctions. Important note, termites aren't ants. Though similar looking, they belong to Isoptera, with 4,000 plus species. In nature, termites decompose dead trees, speeding nutrient recycling. They're beneficial insects.
But in human homes, they're pure trouble, burrowing into wooden beams, hollowing them out, often leaving structures unsafe.
Termites have an even more annoying relative, cockroaches. They're also in Blattodea order. The scientific name is Blattidae-blacca, meaning cockroach. Common kitchen roaches include Oriental, American, and German cockroaches, American being largest at 5 centimeters. Cockroaches are called indestructible little warriors because they're crazy resilient. They've got super strong immune systems, making them resistant to germs, so they thrive in dirty environments.
Oh, and they can regenerate limbs, even survive a week without a head. Pesticides struggle to wipe them out completely.
Their larvae incubate in super tough egg cases for 3 to 8 weeks. Pesticides can't penetrate easily. By the time they hatch, the pesticide's potency has dropped significantly. Not all kitchen bugs are roaches. Many are beetles, belonging to Colopatra. If it's named something beetle or something weevil, it's likely a beetle. Flour and rice can get infested if stored too long in unsealed containers. Those grain pests? All beetles. Common home beetles include biscuit beetles, cigarette beetles, larder beetles, bean weevils, and coffee bean weevils.
Their names pretty much give away their favorite foods.
After Colopetera beetles, last is Lepidoptera, scale-winged, mostly moths, like grain moths and clothes moths that ruin fabrics.
They multiply fast, can chew holes in wool, silk, or down items within days, so sun-dry stored clothes regularly.
That covers our 5 insect orders: Diptera, Hymenoptera, Isoptera, Coleoptera, Lepidoptera.
Some home invaders like spiders and mites aren't actually insects. Spiders and mites are arachnid cousins, distinct from insects. Easiest way to tell? Count the legs. Insects have 6 legs, spiders and mites, 8. So that's the common insects and arachnids in homes. In older houses, you might also meet reptiles like geckos, birds like sparrows, or mammals like mice and bats. So, how did these animals become tied to human homes throughout history? Now let's explore the book's second question. Some animals have been linked to our dwellings since humans lived in caves. The first invaders were small critters like fleas. Unlike our ape relatives gorillas and chimps who don't host fleas, flea larvae need stable breeding grounds, but apes don't have permanent nests. Apes typically dwell in temporary branch structures, rarely using one nest beyond a few days. Humans only attracted fleas after establishing permanent shelters. Flea larvae feed on human or animal feces, dried blood, or skin flakes. Adults immediately jump to hosts upon hatching. But in primitive societies, our ancestors wandered for food, often leaving caves vacant for months. Fleas adapted. Their larvae can lie dormant in cocoons for months, awaiting human return. They emerge within seconds when hosts reappear. Lice have an even longer history with us, dating back to our ancient ape ancestors.
Before clothing, only head lice and pubic lice existed.
When humans began wearing clothes approximately 70,000 years ago, body lice evolved, specializing in garments.
Whoa!
Infestations reached 30,000 lice per person since clothes were rarely changed.
Many believe lice prefer unclean people, but that's not accurate.
Head lice actually prefer clean, smooth hair.
Clean individuals near infested people may become more attractive to lice.
Around 12,000 years ago, humans entered the agricultural era. Farming ended nomadic life as villages formed, bringing civilization but also more uninvited guests.
Rats, flies, cockroaches came seeking two food sources.
First, our stored grains. Second, our discarded waste like leftovers and rotten meat. All right, let's focus on mice here. Fossils of mice are super rare in geological times. The earliest mouse fossils date back about 2 million years, much younger than human fossils. Early mice lived on grasslands, feeding mainly on plant seeds, and weren't too numerous. But the dawn of human agriculture changed all that. Around 8000 BC, a branch of mice, the house mouse, started thriving first. House mice, also called little mice, are a smaller type of rat, only 7 to 10 centimeters long. They multiplied fast along the Mediterranean coast, which just happened to be where human agriculture first popped up.
With trade and transport growing, house mice spread across Europe and east to East Asia, Southeast Asia, and Australia.
If house mice sneaking into homes just cause economic losses from grain theft, then black rats bring nightmares. Black rats, also called big rats, are usually over twice the size of house mice. All black, great climbers, easily scaling human roofs. Compared to house mice, they prefer rotten food and garbage, pooping everywhere, so they became disease spreaders right off the bat. Since the 6th century AD, many human pandemics were caused by black rats, the worst being the Black Death, or plague. In the 14th century, plague killed 25 million people in Europe, a third of the population. But hey, not all rats are pests. Since the Middle Ages, Europeans kept a rat-like critter, the dormouse, as pets. Dormice look like rats but are close relatives. They love crawling into house attics, where people find them by chance and keep them as pets in cages or jars. Okay, that's it for rats that steal our food and trash.
Now, let's talk about uninvited guests that munch on our houses and books, like termites, woodworms, and bookworms.
After agriculture started, people built houses with wood. Wood's main parts, cellulose and lignin, aren't nutritious for us but are a feast for some bugs. These insects have special enzymes in their gut that turn cellulose into starch, giving them nutrients. Beyond termites, there are various wood-boring beetles that eat wood. The most famous is the death watch beetle. Death, as in dying, watch, as in stealing. This tiny beetle, just millimeters long, can drill centimeter-wide tunnels through wood. Death watch beetles live in wooden beams for over a decade, creating maze-like tunnels that compromise structures.
To find mates, they violently bang their heads against hard wood.
In old wooden houses, when one starts tapping, others join, creating spine-chilling sounds people mistake for ghosts or death omens. Hence their grim name. Some cellulose-digesting insects also target books. Bookworms, like woodworms, are expert borers. They can tunnel through meter-thick book stacks, leaving meat holes. But not all home invaders come for food. Some enter seeking safety and comfort. Birds like swallows and sparrows nest in attics, eaves, and chimneys, sheltered from weather. Plus, predators like eagles rarely approach human dwellings. Central heating made our dry, warm homes attractive to critters like cellar darkling beetles. These 2-centimeter black, lute-shaped beetles love ultra-dry spots, making floorboard cellars their paradise. They don't raid kitchens. They survive on crumbs falling through floor cracks. Common in old houses with wooden floors. Then there's silverfish, entering homes for, well, silverfish, literally clothing fish. Adults grow to 1 centimeter, with fish-like scales and forked tails, hence the name, originating in tropical deserts. They invade homes in temperate zones, often near stoves or ovens. So that wraps up the book's second question. How did uninvited guests become tied to human homes? Critters like lice and fleas tagged along. When humans built homes in primitive times, more guests arrived during the agricultural era for food or a dry, warm, safe spot. So, how should we handle these uninvited guests in our homes? Should we kill them, kick them out, or just live with them? That's the third question we'll tackle today. First off, some uninvited guests are clearly pests. We should definitely wipe them out. Take houseflies, for example. They carry over 100 types of bacteria, viruses, and pathogens on their bodies and in their guts. A single housefly can pack up to 6.6 million bacteria. Over the years, millions have died from diseases spread by houseflies, like typhoid, cholera, TB, dysentery, polio, and conjunctivitis. Parasite eggs, too. When adult houseflies crawl out of dung pupae, they pick up pathogens on their bodies and legs. Compared to flies, a mosquito type called Anopheles is way more dangerous.
Studies show Anopheles is Earth's deadliest animal. It spreads malaria and other fatal diseases, killing nearly 1 million people yearly from bites. Besides flies and mosquitoes, pests like rats, roaches, fleas, etc. are also disease spreaders. We gotta eliminate them.
And termites and woodworms that munch on our houses, furniture, books. They're targets too. To fight these pests, we've invented chemical agents like sprays, powders, fumigants to exterminate them all. But according to the author, even low-toxic chems can leave residues, so he prefers non-toxic physical methods instead. First up, keep things clean. If you spot beetles in the kitchen, the best move is to toss out any contaminated food. Then do a deep clean with rags, brushes, and a vacuum, because bugs are drawn in by exposed food scraps lying around.
Plus, vacuum cleaners are pest-fighting heroes. They effectively suck up insect eggs at home.
Over the past century, widespread vacuum use has drastically reduced fleas, lice, woodworms, and moths in households. Second, physical barriers help. Sturdy screens block flying insects. Fridges, cling wrap, and containers protect food.
Finally, regular checks. Inspect cabinets, wardrobes, and storage areas, often to prevent bugs from damaging unused items.
For harmless uninvited guests, we should clear up misconceptions too. Take spiders. Media reports on bites plus natural fear of arachnids create widespread anxiety.
In 2013, the UK even had nationwide spider panic. Yet their danger is hugely exaggerated.
Though all spiders produce venom, their tiny mouths and short fangs rarely pierce human skin. They actually help us by silently hunting pests. They excel at catching flies, mosquitoes, roaches, our deadly enemies. So if you find spiders indoors, release them. Similarly harmless are silverfish, called money bugs in China. Millipedes resemble centipedes but have shorter bodies and longer legs.
Centipedes can bite, but silverfish pose zero threat. Like spiders, they hunt pests too.
Now, sparrows around homes, they've been misunderstood as well. There are two types. House sparrows nest under eaves. Tree sparrows nest in nearby trees. Both live alongside humans. In the 1950s, China launched the Four Pests campaign. Sparrows were accused of stealing crops and mass killed with flies or mosquitoes or rats, but it backfired, causing pest explosions and crop loss. Sparrows are omnivores worldwide. They eat crops but also hunt insects, especially Lepidophyta pests. Over millennia of human-nature interaction, balanced sparrow populations have become vital for farmland ecosystems. The author suggests judging pests based on population density. Within certain density limits, sparrows benefit humans. But with thousands of species and homes, many bugs look alike. How to identify harmless ones? Consult local entomologists, hobbyists, or museums. Or go online. The author recommends iSpot Nature, a wildlife ID site by UK's Open University. Just register, upload animal photos, and experts or hobbyists will identify them. What animal is this? That concludes the book's third question. How to handle uninvited guests at home. Eliminate serious threats but correct misconceptions about harmless ones. Use online tools to identify these guests. For humane pest removal, consider euthanasia. And here, we've covered the main content of the uninvited guests. While some dislike home intruders, others adore keeping exotic pets. In 2013, a UK botanist released 1,000 imported crickets just to hear their night songs. He found the chirps pleasant, but it alarmed British police. Police fined him and ordered all crickets captured and destroyed. Important reminder, never release exotic pets, even small insects, outdoors to prevent invasive species threatening local ecosystems. All right, that wraps up our discussion on the uninvited guests.
Reading notes are below the audio. Catch you next time.